Hi, Jen. Thank you so much for talking to me today. I am so excited to find out about this case study you're going to talk to us about. But first of all, can you just tell us your name and where you're from?
Hi, yeah, I'm Jen, Jen Moxham. I am based now, I was based in the UK. I'm based in Blenheim, or just outside Blenheim, which is the top of South Island, New Zealand.
Sort of as far away from us as you can possibly be, almost.
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 Nothing personal, but yeah,
No,
almost.
I know. You're doing amazing work there. So absolutely none taken. How long have you now been a myotherapist, Galen Myotherapist?
Um, I have been fully qualified for about 4 years now.
It's that long, is it? It's amazing. Yeah.
It took me
Time
a
flies.
while. It took me a while because I decided to have a baby in between when I was studying. So yes, it did take a while, but
But you're doing
yeah.
amazing work now in New Zealand. Fantastic. Now, just tell me before we discuss the case study, why did you decide to train with Gala Myotherapy?
Um, Absolutely easy one because you're the only training provider that advocated giving a choice.
Oh, okay.
None of the other providers, when I was looking into it, there was a lot of options out there for canine massage, um, but none of them advocated that the dogs had a choice to walk away. All of them, whether it was the photos or whether it was when you talk to people, advocated that it would be, you need to get the job done,
Right.
and
So it's
that
Positive
wasn't what I
PACT.
was about.
Brilliant.
And then I also met Kushla and chatted to Kushla about it, and
Oh,
her
there we
her
go.
whole passion for what she does is, yeah,
Couldn't have met a
huge.
better advocate. Fantastic.
No.
So I don't want to, I really want to, as interesting as that is, which it really is, I really want to talk about this case study. So can you just give a little bit of background? Because we got some fantastic pictures to share too.
Well, Darling Molly, and that is what Tilly Heron used to call her as well. Darling Molly was rescued because she was due to be put to sleep because she was biting anyone and everyone, but not just biting. She would go for people. So the words that had been used to describe her were vicious. She was vicious.
Right.
So she was being put to sleep, and her new guardians, Tilly, rescued her, gave her a home, and she had taken her to the vets and things. Very difficult for them to examine her because she had to be sort of held in a towel so she didn't try and eat people. And they pretty much said nothing's wrong. But Tilly
Right.
was convinced that it wasn't, that nothing was wrong. She said she's no animal, excuse me, is vicious. There's always a
Mm,
reason.
yeah.
And she said, I think it must be pain related.
Mm,
And can you please come and see her?
yeah.
And
Sadly, we do hear this
so,
bit,
yeah,
don't we? That sometimes a dog can be assessed and thought nothing is wrong, which is really difficult for everyone.
yeah, yeah. The recommendation was that she would put to sleep.
Right. Right. That's
And,
desperate.
and yeah, so I said, well, okay, so you're telling me that you think that it's pain related. Are there anything that indicates that you might think that it's pain? We
Mm.
think in her history she might have got kicked by a horse at some point.
Wow.
We're not quite sure because the information is very vague. She lived out. She generally lived out in the stable. Wasn't really given best care. We can't really get hands on to have a. She's
Mm.
she's not accepting of any kind of touch at the moment. But the way she stands, the way she holds herself, we think that it's pain
Yeah.
related.
Right.
Um. So
Shall I
yeah.
start showing this picture of you first of all, presumably starting a treatment. So how post qualification were you in this picture, or when you first started
Um.
to see her?
This only a few months, probably about 6 months.
Wow. So you
Yeah,
were
five,
very
six
newly
months.
qualified, and you took on a very difficult case.
And yeah, slightly terrified because I have always been around big dogs. And so although I have friends with smaller dogs, and I had treated some smaller dogs by this time, is this was the first terrier that I had been asked to treat, especially one that had quite significant behavioural issues. And, you know, for a guardian to be saying, you know, they've been labelled as vicious, and she kept on using this word vicious, I was thinking, am I going to keep my fingers intact? I was, slightly terrified of how this was going to go to start with.
Absolutely. So how long did it take you to actually get your hands on like this? Because this, I mean, she is melting into you there.
This was first hands-on treatment, but it was third visit. The first 2 visits to the house, I just sat and had a cup of tea and we had a chat. The first visit, she didn't even come in the room. She could come in the room, but she didn't. She chose not to. The second visit, the cat came in the room. And that was interesting, because as she came through the window, Tilly, a guardian, said, oh, the cat doesn't like people. He doesn't like people, so he'll probably just run through. Don't worry about the cat. And she was quite confused, because she said, he doesn't, you know, I can just about stroke him. She said he doesn't like people, doesn't come in. And she said, but he is best friends with Molly. They formed a friendship. And the cat came and sat on the little square piece that you can see behind me there, and sort of watched me. Didn't move. I didn't bother trying to stroke the cat or anything. Just let it sort of check me out. It was obviously thinking, who's this random person? And then the third time when I went back, Molly had by this point decided that she would come a little bit closer, and she would come and she would sit on the mat in front for a little bit, and then she'd get up and walk away. She never used to sit still for very long. And the cat came and sat down, which again was, we were like, oh, what's this? The cat obviously decided it looks like a nice idea. And I truly believe I only got hands-on to treat Molly because I gained the cat's trust. The cat, and you can see its nose there, the cat used to sit with Molly, and it would need, like cats do, with its paws, and kind of give Molly a massage, basically. And it would just do that as cats do with no intention. But when it saw what's happening, it would come and it would basically kind of show me, like, you need to treat here, and it would either be nosing me or putting its paws on.
Wow.
And yeah, just incredible, absolutely incredible. This is why it's my favorite all-time case study.
It's just there's this whole sub-story going on too, isn't there, between little Molly and the cat? But let me just be sure. I had a feeling that you were allergic to cats, so this must have been difficult for you to have done this. A lot of people can be, because obviously they're very fluffy. Is that right?
Yeah, I get very bad allergies. Well, I used to have a cat. My cat, as a child, used to sleep on my pillow, and I was fine. But now, because I'm not around them, if I go into a house where there's a cat, my eyes will be streaming, my nose will be streaming. I take antihistamines before I treat in a house where there's a cat. Well, this was a farm cat that lived outside, so the first time it came in and sat next to me, I obviously wasn't expecting it.
No.
So yeah,
amazing.
I was very often red eyes, sneezing. But yeah, the cat.
This is wonderful. So, I mean, just a fantastic tableau there of you with the cat and dear Molly, who has got her whole support structure, but also I can see that she is looking to you for support too. I mean, this is a phenomenal turnaround. Let me move on to your next slide, because this is Molly before you started treating her, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I mean, do you want to sort of highlight anything that you could see? I mean, there's so much in her posture, isn't there, that indicates her discomfort.
I mean, everything from her nose, her ears. She used to have this permanent sort of frowny face. Her ears were always back or down. She's got that huge dip in her top line.
Huge,
her tail. I mean, a terrier, a Sealyham terrier, they have a short tail. but it used to really swing to that side to help move that whole pelvic area with it.
But she's got that
and as
Pluto,
you can see,
she's got the Pluto back end, hasn't she?
yeah.
Yeah, incredible. But what else was there? I mean, you said that she was supposedly vicious, so she had a bite history. Was there anything else in her behavior that was alarming for you? Because we look at behavior a lot, don't we? Associated behavior.
She didn't want to play. She didn't want to go for walks. She just wanted to either hide in her crate or guard. It was literally that fight or flight, constant thing. I want to hide from the world. If anything comes near me, I'm gonna get rid of it. So she didn't want to come for a walk. Now it's a good question.
Thereabouts.
Can't remember how old she is now.
She
wasn't very old. I want to say she was 5 or 6 at this time.
Yeah, that would make sense.
And she was just, I want to say sad, but she wasn't even sad. She kind of gone beyond that. She was just fearful.
Was she?
Fearful of everything. So, yeah.
So you then managed to get hands-on, as we saw, and then I recognize that she's been groomed, so she does look different. But apart from that, Jen, what a difference. I mean, what you've done there is just, you've changed the dog's life. I can see that just from those pictures. This was
3 hands-on treatments, so it wasn't even over a huge period of time.
Right.
But her guardians worked really hard with her as well.
Yep.
The grooming obviously highlights it, but I mean that again was a huge thing because she hadn't been looked after her, so her coat was really bad, but you couldn't touch her to groom her either. So the fact that not only could we then get hands-on to treat her, but then she let somebody else get hands-on to groom her.
Absolutely.
So that we could get those mats out, that you could, and her little face, you could actually see her face, her eyes.
Beautiful.
She was just...
But I can see that there are some hands on her here, which can look a little bit restraining. Perhaps you can just give a little bit of history to our background.
Well, she is being slightly restrained and asked to stand still for the picture because she was such a happy dog by this stage that she didn't stand still. And you get that she would lie on the mat, she would stay still on the mat, but otherwise she was racing around at full terrier speed. She was playing, she was initiating play with the other dogs, she was loving going for walks, she was catching rabbits, she was being a proper terrier.
Wow.
And that was just, like I say, it was just in a couple of treatments really of unleashing that the muscular tension that had transferred into the anxiety and the behavioral tension as well. And releasing those two together, she was just
so just she turned into this wonderfully naughty, very active dog. These I think can really show the difference here. In that difference alone, the top line is just fantastic. I mean,
and not just the top line, but her paws, because it was her left pelvic limb that we think that was injured, either kicked or stood on, which is why her tail in the other pictures is kind of turned that way.
Right.
But the fact that they were almost square on the floor, whereas she used to kind of, like, she would roll back on her hind paws, that she just couldn't put the weight through them. You can't see it so much from the pictures because of the hair, but the fact that she could actually comfortably stand still was really significant.
It looks like 2 different dogs, doesn't it? She looks like 2 different dogs. It's just phenomenal. Really is just phenomenal, Jen. Sorry, there's a bit of time delay. That's why we might sound like we're sort of talking over each other a little bit. I mean, you're a long way away. It takes a while for sound to travel through. Jen, that must been so rewarding to see that.
It was, and not so much for me, because when you see the photos, you're like, wow, that's like a different dog. But it was seeing her be a different dog, and not just for her love of life, but the change it made in that family, the fact that
Yes.
she didn't want to eat the other dog, the fact that she
Yeah.
was then playing with the other dogs, she was seeking out play. She used to then come and jump on the sofa for her massage with her owners instead of refusing to come in the room because she was unsure or kind of like seeking in and thinking, oh, is it like, no, I'm scuttling out again. And she just, yeah, was,
It,
you know, huge.
I think we do underestimate sometimes the difference of the whole dynamic within the family. I mean, they must have been worried about people coming into the house and people visiting, and especially children, oh, don't touch her, and all of that sort of thing. And I think we underestimate the impact of that. And then, of course, the impact of the dog to be able to be part of the family again. Or in this case, part of the family, not again, because these amazing people rehomed her with that background. I mean, honestly, it's just the most wonderful story. And I just want to thank you so much for sharing that with us. I really, really do. It makes me, makes me very emotional seeing things like this and seeing
It
the amazing work
still
you
makes
do.
me emotional.
That, and that's why we just have, that's why we started doing it, and that's why we never tire of doing what we do, because of these wonderful stories. Jen, I know you're doing phenomenal